Alright guys, welcome back to Project RAD OBS. In the last video, we actually wrapped up the roof repairs on this sucker, and I added this grip board, surfboard grip material. And I gotta say, it looks freaking great. But in today's video, we're gonna take the next step on this build. I'm gonna be adding a roof rack and a light bar. This is my little Subaru only shop. It's a DIY Subaru channel. It's a channel where all I do is Subaru builds and race Subaru vehicles and motorsport events. It's a DIY themed channel where I walk you guys through the steps to get your Subarus back on the road and hopefully do a little racing of your own. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. And this is a roof rack and a light bar. Now you guys might have seen in a previous video, I actually gave a preview of this roof rack and these light bars, but I actually have them installed right now with these custom brackets. So what you guys are looking at is actually a 34-inch wide light bar, an LED light bar, mounted to the front of this roof rack. I actually got all these things off Amazon, guys. And then on the back here, I've actually got some smaller lights right here. These are just little 4-inch lights that are mounted on the back of this roof rack, facing obviously to the rear. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this roof rack in this video. But real quick, I'll give you guys an overview of what I did right here. This front light bar is fully adjustable right here. And I actually made a little aluminum bracket, if you can see right here, that allowed me to mount this little LED light bar using this little aluminum bracket to these little tubular clamp mounts that I bought off Amazon as well. These clamps are actually 2 inches wide and they actually go over a 1-inch bar. So that's what these little clamps are. And that allowed me to use that little clamp and that aluminum little bracket that I fabbed up to get the perfect width to mount this light bar to this roof rack. And now it's actually full adjustability right here. You can actually loosen up this bolt right here and this light bar can pivot up or down to adjust where it's actually directed. And actually the same on the rears. The rears actually have full adjustability for the pivot. So you can adjust how far the angle is when they pivot down or back straight up. And I'll give these full adjustability as well. And I'll put these on a separate circuit. So you'll have 2 separate switches for these. 1 switch for the front lights and 1 switch for the rear lights. All right, so let's get started and get this sucker mounted on this Outback Sport. All right, guys, after lining everything up several times back and forth, this is what we're looking at. This roof rack and light bar, I think, look freaking amazing on this Outback Sport. This is where I'll be lining it up right there on the bar right there on the front bar. This is on the back bar. It's not perfect, and you guys might be asking yourself, why doesn't he actually adjust these bars so that they're centered perfectly with the curve right here for this roof rack setup? And the reason I can't do that is because the screws, they're holding these crossbars down are actually rusted solid, and I cannot loosen those suckers to adjust these crossbars. But luckily, the location where it actually completely fits underneath that crossbar, even though it's not centered on the curve of this little bracket right here, or this little plastic pad is actually what it is that kind of transfers the load to the tubing right here above. It's actually centered between the front and back one pretty good, where the little U brackets that go underneath, and I'll show you guys that install, will actually lock everything down in place, and it'll actually be rock solid at the end of the day. Let me kind of step back here and give you the wide angle view. That's the way that roof rack is looking right now. Pulling back over here to the wide angle view. That's the way it looks on the car. I'll kind of show you the front right there and the bar. Like I said earlier, that's a 34-inch LED light bar. I got these off Amazon. I'll provide a link below. I actually got all this off Amazon. I got the rack off Amazon. It's actually one of the cheapest racks they have. I believe it's retailing for about $110, maybe $105. I got this light bar off Amazon as well. This one, again, really pretty reasonably priced. I don't remember how much it was. I want to say maybe about 80 or 100 bucks. And then I actually got these little clamps right here. These are actually 1-inch diameter tubing clamps that are 2 inches wide. That's what these clamps are. And I'll actually have a link to those clamps as well. And then moving around here to the back, I also have some rear facing LED lights right here. These will be on a separate circuit and a separate switch. I got these off Amazon as well. And these guys are only like $20 for the set of 2. And I'll have a link to these as well down below. And I'm gonna figure out the wiring and the switches in the next video. But for now, I'm actually gonna mount this sucker with these U brackets that came with the kit for this roof rack. All right, and these are those little U brackets. Basically, the way these work is This bracket goes over the top, and there's like little snubs or little like locating dowels that stick up in those little pads that you saw that are through the bars. And I'll kind of show you guys that when I install it. But this goes down to the top, this comes up to the bottom, and then you actually have, and in lieu of nuts, you actually have these little nut inserted little knobs that are really easy to adjust by hand. And they're actually rubber, so they won't rust, and they'll be easy to grab when they're wet. So that's what you have for these. They actually screw down to these U-bolts right here. Pretty straightforward. So let me walk you guys through the install right now. So here are those pads that actually transfer the weight from the crossbar to the roof rack. And you actually drop this bracket right over those little locating dowels, so it locks in place with them. And you take that little U-bracket from below, and you kind of push that through those holes. Kind of like so. Kind of lock them down like that, try to get them even. And at this point, I won't do them all the way tight. I'll wait until I have all four tied down, and then we'll kind of evenly snug down everything once I verify that it's all centered and located in the right position. All right, guys, I got all four done. Check it out, locked down, 2 knobs on each location. And bam, this roof rack is locked down. When you kind of grab it and shake it, basically the whole car shakes. So this thing's super sturdy. I looked at the instructions. I think these things are rated for about, I think 200 to 300 pounds. So that should be plenty for any of your kind of sporting goods or your construction materials. And that is it, guys. The final shot of the 98 Outback Sport with a new roof rack and light bar. And man, I gotta say, that is looking legit. All right, guys, on that note, I'm gonna wrap it up there for today. Thanks so much for checking out the video. My name's Luke. You guys are watching the Subaru Only channel. Until next time, guys, later.